Welcome to Belle and I Studio and Project Mondays. Project Mondays is a series that I started to complete projects. This week, what we're working on is Bella versus Aliens, and we'll show up every Monday until this project's finished. This project, to me, is about a time when I was younger and the things that I used to tell myself, self-talk, and also being, from the things said around me about art and how I should think about art. And I'm talking about how these things and these impressions as a young boy, how they shaped me. And going back, and part of that is working and drawing in a style that's reminiscent of when I was younger. And I'm using Posca pens to do that. So Posca pens are a new medium to me. So I'm learning as I go as well, which is a lot of fun. This is a space where you can come hang out. This is like a living room. This is my studio, but you can look at it as a living room. Just grab your cup of coffee and chill, relax, listen, draw along. It's an inviting space for anyone. Everyone's welcome, and appreciate everyone being here. So last week we finished off our drawing of the carnival. So, which is a place when I was a young boy, reminded me. It was a lot of inspiration there. I still remember the smells and the sights and the sounds and the way that it affected me and moved me. So, and this was really early on in my journey of discovery into art. And a lot of the self-talk that I took on came from other people in drawing that like to draw, and also a lot of self-talk, just things that I believed that I took on from books that I've read and different things as a young boy about art. So I started reading at a young age. I was influenced at a young age. We all are, I believe. And for me, some of the voices or some of the things that were taught to me or told to me, I believe are what hindered me in my progress in art as a young boy. So what I'm doing is I'm going back to those times and drawing and telling myself that it's okay. It's okay. Some of those things that I did was okay. I'm reclaiming what was taken from me as a child, as an adult. So this is an interesting series for me, and we'll talk more about it when we get into it. So for now, let's get busy and let's draw. And Bella said good morning earlier. She already ate breakfast. She's tired. She's sleeping. She's doing her thing. So as usual, I need a mechanical pencil like this. And I need an eraser. So what I do is I use the mechanical pencil to sketch out quick drawings of what I want to draw. And I use the kneaded eraser just to soften up the lead, so that when I go over it with the Posca pens, it doesn't show through. So before we do that, let's get our supplies ready. In the kitchen, we call it mise. So when I was younger, part of my living, or earning a living for myself, is working in restaurants, kitchens. I learned how to cook as a young man in a chain restaurant called Apple Peddler. That's where I started. And I was probably around 17, 18 when I did that. But that moved into working in other restaurants, smaller restaurants, bars, bar and grills, as short order cooks. So they have different types of cooks out there. Short order cooks to full on kitchen brigades. I later went to college for about a year. I didn't complete the program, but it was for culinary. It was a lot of fun. Some things happened. Third party funding ran out, and I moved on. So, and here we are. today. But I really enjoyed the kitchen. There's a lot of stuff, fun stuff about working in a kitchen. You get to eat, you get to stay warm, and you meet a lot of cool people along the way. It's a really rich atmosphere, that is. But I would do construction in the wintertime, or in the summertime, excuse me, and work kitchens in the wintertime. So, anyways, last week we did the carnival, and this week, what I was thinking, what I'm seeing is this is a time when the aliens actually started attacking me when I was young. This is before Bella, before any outlets, before, other than art, which was ironically the outlet that I had that brought on these aliens, or these foreign invaders, if you will. Uh, Metaphorically speaking, of course, that brought on these foreign invaders that would create the self-talk inside of myself. And this week I want to focus on some of those things that were said and that I said to myself about tracing images onto a piece of paper. I When I was young, I used to think, man, that's probably the worst offense you could do when you're an artist. And I was a 7-year-old kid, 5, 6, 7 years old, probably more towards 7. I started getting this idea. I've been drawing for a few years, and had the compliments from people, my elders. "Oh, you got a lot of patience. I wish I had that patience." Things like that would motivate a young artist, any young artist. But really, what I ended up doing was creating a lot of walls and boundaries for myself. And one of those boundaries were tracing. I felt that it was cheating. I felt that it was absolutely wrong. And if I had to do it, I wasn't what I said I was. And unfortunately, I didn't have the wisdom or the intuition to know the difference. I just believed it. And it was a form of bullying myself. It was a form of restraining myself from what joy I could have had as a young man, as a young boy. So I'm going back and I'm going to reclaim that notion, and I'm going to say, hey, you know what you did, or whatever you thought was okay. And it's okay to trace. It was okay to do that. So don't think bad about yourself. So this first thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the project over here so we can take a look at it. I want to do these top panels right here. And what I'm seeing is our carnival panel is going to go here. And now either side here, I'm going to draw the aliens. And then whatever, we'll go from there. I got an idea. So what I want to do is figure out which panels are which here. It looks like these are all going to be pretty much those two. It looks like this one is going to be that side one. So we'll do that. This one's going to be a first alien. I'm not quite sure how, I got an idea maybe. When I was younger, erasing lines, drawing over them again was the first thing that I figured was that the drawing wasn't going to be any good. And this is before I was really introduced with color and stuff like that. So a lot of those ideas have changed these days. Not so hard on myself. Like I said, I'm coming back here to reclaim something that I lost. So got a little reference photo over here of a sketched one that just given me inspiration. It's not going to be exact, but that's what I'm looking at. But that could be construed as either a ghost or an alien. But The sketch with the pencil doesn't have to be perfect. I just, I want something there that I can go in with color now. Because sometimes when I'm working with color, it's a little easier to see something for me these days. I mean, this is by all means, I can work with that with a pencil, but. So I'll get this first panel in here. What I want to do is I want it to come out of the panel a little bit because I want it to stand out off the picture. This is another thought that I was having when I was contemplating this all week. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to establish some boundaries about where I want the color to come out. Probably about right there. Show you guys a little trick I learned from painting houses. See that? You can cut your tape with your knife, with your painter's knife, whatever that thing's called. I think it's a painter's knife. I used to call it putty knives when you're doing construction. And all this is really going to do is just let me know that that line here is the cutout, and I want it to extend past that a bit so that when I tape it down on the other side, it covers well. And that's all the tape I'm gonna need there. Maybe I'll get something over here on this color or corner, just to give me the full on. Because his face, we're gonna go about like that. I just want his head to come out. I don't want his whole body to come out. It's just something I was seeing. So there it is. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna come in with black. And I want to come in with a thicker black. Let us grab our pad that we can test our pins on. Last week I was talking about cutting these panels out and then working on them, but I've changed my viewpoint on that because it's easier to turn a larger page than such a small one. Yeah. We'll just come in here and we'll do our line work. We'll paint them green. A green alien. And these aliens are going to represent something that was taken from me. A thought that kept me from growing and enjoying art as much as I could have. So this is where I want to get this head right. Sometimes you got to take a second and let that dry. First, before I draw the rest of that head, I want to draw these eyes in. Just so I can get a sense of the proportions. Like that. That seems about right to me. I'm thinking behind him is going to be maybe part of the city. Part of the cityscape. So I'm going to draw some buildings here. That's probably going to be good. Good for the buildings beyond, though. Now we'll go ahead and color him in. I'm going to go light to dark. There I go again. I'm tossing my pad over here when I'm going to be using it. So we're going to go light to dark on him, on this alien. And you can come in here and color in a lot of him. Just keeping it simple. Not really having a whole lot of expectations for doing a lot of fine detail. We want to stay in our idea of comic book type of art. And we might have to go over this a couple times. As these panels get a little smaller, you know, it can get a little quicker. We might be able to accomplish a panel a little quicker, depending on what we're doing. This particular project, I'm gonna be upfront with you guys, has been the most difficult project I've done in a long time, and a lot of it is because I'm confronting things that I had put behind me a lot. I'm revisiting this to reclaim those things, but to also do that in real time and to show you guys that it's, it's okay. It's okay to trace. It's okay to erase. It's okay to do a lot of these things that kept you from being the artist, that would have brought you the most joy. So in hopes that I catch somebody at an early enough stage in their journey, and just let them know, in certain terms that everything's on the table when it comes to art. Art is a journey, and it's a friend that becomes a best friend. And sometimes when we tell our friends that they can't be who they want to be, or we want them to be who we want them to be, it's not fair. It's not fair to our friends. So we're here to change that notion that art can be fun, inviting, no matter how you do it. For me, my idea behind tracing something as just simple as that, as trivial as that shouldn't haunt anybody, any artist in any way. The thing that, I think about that is you're actually going to get better even with just tracing. I mean, when you're tracing objects, you're learning, you're getting that wrist memory. I think when I come in here before I start drawing and stuff, I need to practice just doing simple line work because it helps with the confidence level when I'm actually making these lines. So it's good. It's a good thing to practice. Sometimes as we get older, we forget to do those things. And it really shows up, in our craft. So I think I want that. No, that's okay. I do want it. I want that covered up. I don't want that coming off the page. I was thinking having that elbow come out past the, well, what's going to be our frames, picture frames, but I'm going to pass on that for this one. I just not seeing that exactly. Come and do these eyes. Let's see. Figure out our light source will be about right here. That's going to be too small. One little action there was okay, but we're filling this in. We're going with the bigger one. The brush style. How you guys doing? How was your weekend? Did you guys do anything fun over the weekend? Treat yourself to something? Maybe a movie? And if you did go watch a movie, what movie did you watch? I haven't been to the theater or the movies in a really long time, so. I enjoy that though. I like going to the movies. It's a great way to spend a weekend afternoon or Friday night or whatever. Okay. What I'm going to do, while that's all drying, is I'm going to come in over here. I'm going to draw some of these buildings, windows and stuff in. So, make sure. Yep. I knew it. I'm the worst offender of that, man. I ain't even lying to you. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to draw little windows. But I'm going to do it with a smaller pen because it's a small area right here. And I'm just going to draw little windows. What would be considered windows there? I really don't have to worry about that because it's going to be past the line. So let's just draw little windows there. And over here, maybe we have a door. Maybe we have a window here. It kind of looks like some kind of odd shaped building right there. Not sure what that is, what kind of building it is. I thought maybe some kind of a grain silo, you know, where they store grain. But I don't think they'd really have that in a city. I think it's just a fun shape, is what it is. It's just a fun shaped building. Doesn't have to be anything particular. I think just for good sake, good measure, we're gonna come in here and draw these little windows here as well. Over there is where the door is gonna be for that one. We're gonna have a door over here behind this guy's thumb. That looks fine to me. Okay. What I'm going to do while that's drying is I'm going to come in with some blue. And this is going to be darker back here. Just because it's not particularly light out to me. To me it's a little dark. But it's also not pitch black, so I'd come in here and outline this first. If you guys really need to see the drawing, just in case you don't know, you can always pinch and zoom in. I shoot in 4K in wide, so you should be able to zoom right in on a drawing if you want. You don't have to look at my face or the lights or any of that kind of stuff. You can zoom in. I like just talking while I draw. because generally I'll tell you why. Because when I'm drawing, it slows my mind down so much that I'm able to feel comfortable. And to me, it feels a lot more natural. And I think that that's where honesty lives. So that's why I enjoy talking as I draw. So I feel like that's where I feel the most comfortable. When I'm not drawing, I feel pressure. It's strange. When I'm drawing, I don't really feel that type of pressure when I'm, talking to the camera. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'll probably never say that again in any of my videos. Just like anything, though, it just takes time. It just takes doing it over and over again to get comfortable with it. You look at some of my earlier videos, you'll see that I was not very comfortable. I don't like scripts. I don't like reading something off of a piece of paper to try and do the video. I've tried it for a couple different things, but something I don't generally do. I'll just leave it at that. It's not something I completely do all the time. So, oh, well, we'll let that blue dry there. I'm going to these buildings and I'm going to paint the lightest color I see first, and they're going to be yellow. So let's go with what I'm doing now is I'm looking at the windows down here because I want some continuity to this picture. So to do that, I have to use this same colors, right? Because this is going to spread across the top, and for me and my vision and what I'm seeing with it, this is very much going to be right above that picture. So it's going to have to tell a similar story. These aliens have landed. They're out of their spaceship. And where this panel is going to go is right here. So it's going to go right next to the carnival. So this alien is going to be pointing at me, trying to tell me what's up, trying to bully me with the idea that tracing is going to make me a lesser artist. Or if you don't like titles, a lesser person, not as good at drawing. So those words hurt. Especially when you're young and it's important to you. Like I said, it's my friend. Underneath, we're gonna go like this. I like going light to dark because light is a little more difficult to cover. It's got a little green on it. If I need to go over that yellow with a darker color, I definitely can. I don't need to absolutely just paint it in yellow. What this is to me is it's a comical way of saying that's the color spilling out from the windows of the buildings. So I can come into it with some orange. I'm just going to be subtle with it. I'm not going to fill in everything with this orange. Just some of it. It gives the impression that there's light spilling out from the buildings. So we're going to go in here with a little red, but this time we're going to use a smaller nib brush. Shake it over there because my mic's right here and I don't want to wake up anybody that might be sleeping. Just don't want to do that. Sleep on, brother. Or more importantly, if you're sitting there drawing and just listening, it can be jolting to hear something like that right in your face. And I don't want to do that to you guys. I don't want to do that. So I'm just gonna come in here a little effortlessly and find the values. And that's what this red is. This is just gonna be the darker part of everything that's spilling out there. So it doesn't have to be no rhyme or reason, just randomness is more important at this point with this kind of thing. And don't just paint everything in, you know. Keep it random. That's good. Then I'll come in here with each one of the windows, and I'm gonna hold off on that. Let's see. I only used orange, so we're only gonna use orange. I just want to make sure I wasn't. Okay, well, that's probably about as good as this is gonna get. So let's put it over here on the right. I hope you guys can see that. And what that essentially is going to do there, well, it just gives it a little bit of character, a little bit of shadow there. And to really do a lot with just a line. A line of color. Right? The sketch went from looking kind of lazy to popping off the page a little better. That kind of thing. So now that green looks like it's looking pretty tidy, I'm going to come in and cast a couple shadows here. I think we have a shadow here. And then we're going to have a shadow underneath the neck. Right there. Maybe we're gonna come out right here on the hand. We'll have a couple places there. Leave it about like that. And maybe we'll come up on top of this hand a little bit. When you see that it's looking really watery, you really need to shake it up. Because that is, there we go, really watery there. There we go. Much better. And this is just going to give it some highlights where I kind of see them. While that stuff's drying, doing its thing, we're going to come right here and color in these buildings just a tad bit. And we'll use a really fine nib. 0.7 Posca pen. There's a bullet nib. The bigger ones that I have are brush nibs. They're called brush nibs. And these smaller ones are called bullet nibs. So we'll go around. We'll spend some time on this project, and if we don't have time to finish this whole panel in today, then that's fine. We'll come back next week, next Monday, and we'll continue on. We'll continue on this journey, this path of discovery together, and just exist. Just be. Just be. Something I want to do before I do that over here on this side. I want to get a little white in there, just on that one side. I might have to go ahead and let that dry before I come up to it. We'll see. Let's just see what happens. Because a lot of this is moving to another part of the panel and letting stuff dry, right? Yeah. He is wet. Come right up beside it there. Because to me, there's a light source over there. So we're going to make that happen. We're going to make that light source shine. Let your light shine. I really dumped the white over there on that. On me. Maybe we can just go like that. Just to calm it down a little bit. And then go back over it with black. Solving problems in real time. But in solving that problem, we lost a little bit of a window that we had there. So I want to try to get back. There we go. Leave it. Let it do its thing. Let it breathe. Come back over here with the door. And then what I'm going to do is I'm thinking this part here is going to be about right. It's going to be about right here. So, which maybe I should have. Put that purple building in first. That's all right. It'll work out, actually. Okay, so, in fact, well, let's go ahead and do this first. I'm going to draw a little chimney on there. Well, it's supposed to be a chimney. Kind of looks like a chimney. And then this one. See, the blue is pretty easy to go over with darker color. We'll use this one here. Will come out behind. It's not going to be an exact rendition of what that is, but it'll be close enough to suggest it. Get a little bit of some windows in here. This stuff is really opaque. It'll cover really well. So, I mean, it's really forgiving as far as that goes. Other stuff isn't like this. Other mediums. So, I just really appreciate that. That flexibility and that sort of sense of control. While it lacks that sense of control in other areas, it does really well when it comes to just covering surfaces that need to be covered. So yeah, having fun with these Posca pens. Posca Wednesdays is a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot, teaching myself a lot, just going through the ebb and flow of what works, what doesn't. Trying to retain that information and gain a style. That's what I do in sketchbooks. I like to work with different mediums. Not necessarily mediums that I'm comfortable with. So some of my sketchbooks are looking pretty beginner friendly. And that's okay. I don't mind that. I love that. I love being right there and growing and getting better with something. It's all part of the process. It's all part of it to me. There you go. Got a little bridge in here. We're gonna do we're gonna suggest some smoke. So then here, underneath the bridge, we're gonna have some water, just like in our first drawing. When I store these Posca pens, I store them on their sides, so I don't tip them straight up. There is a lot of water in this one. It's just, yeah, it's dumping the paint on there a little bit. But that's okay with me because this is an okay place to do that. Now, if it was in somewhere a little finer detail or something, I might take it a little harder. But, you know, there's some real estate here. What I'm doing is I'm establishing some of what I would think would be the highlighted areas of the water. So there's that. I like to use 3 different colors for stuff like this, just to get that full range of, well, get some idea of the range of light to dark. And going in there with it a little wet like that, I'm able to blend it somewhat, so it'll look a little blended. I don't want it to look way blended just because nothing else is like that. But it's a good thing to know, you know, for the future. For other drawings in my sketchbook, just learning the style, you know, getting used to it. Leaving just the whitest parts for the brightest highlights. here as we come in. I can lift that paper a little bit. I'm not applying a lot of pressure with these pens, mainly because I don't want them to spill, to pump paint onto my project. Drown my project in paint. I don't want it to do that. Come all the way down here with it. There. And that can symbolize water coming out underneath the bridge. So what I want to do now is I want to go back to that white. This color. And maybe we'll put in a little bit here. I'm going to just skip that alongside there. Just like that. Right? Okay. Come back over here. We're gonna go back over that just a little bit. There we go. Maybe we got some highlights there in the eyes, just to give it a little more dimension. That's fine. We'll come up here and we'll work on getting just a little bit of this smoke. Mm-hmm. See, that's fine. Doesn't have to be completely reworked. It just needs a little bit of togetherness. We'll draw a couple little star-looking things out here. These will be our stars in the sky. We don't want to. I'm just going to do little places, not the whole sky. Just little groups of them. You can do it however you want if you're drawing along, or you're drawing something different. And if you are, what are you drawing? What do you work? What kind of medium are you using? What are you working with? What you got? It's interesting to know what other people are doing and what they're doing while I'm doing this. So if you want to share, you can leave that down in the comments. Okay. I think we're getting to the point here where that's going to be about it. But before we do that, there's a couple little things I see that we need to finish up here. I want to get the orange in over here, just like we have in the other buildings. And if you want right there, I could use red too, since it's farther back. That's why I use the purple, is because I'm looking at it and it's farther back behind the black buildings. But there's light hitting the front, so it gives it a little more of a lighter color than what's in front of us. Now those little stars, I'm just gonna come. Let's see, how did I do it? I went on top, so let's stick with that. I'm gonna go just on top of these stars, but just a hint of the black on these stars. I'm drawing this way so that you guys can see it. This really isn't labor intensive, it's just I want to get those stars right at the right. I'm thinking there's a couple aliens in that ship. It's not just one. It's a couple aliens, because it wasn't just me telling myself, tracing was bad. I learned it from somewhere, right? I learned it from my elders, from other people at school, other kids. Yeah. You just spend a little time and come in and maybe clean up these lines just a little bit. Redefine some of our boundaries here with the hand. The rest of it looks pretty good. We can come back in over this way. I'm going to come down though, because pushing the pin likes to make the ink spit a little bit, like spit in front of your trajectory, and I don't like that. I think that it causes unnecessary work. You have to come back and fill it in. But yeah, I think that's it. So next week, I think what we'll do, I'd like to get all 4 of these panels set in there. But maybe next week we're gonna put these 2 panels in here just so I can start seeing what's coming next. And then I can start filling in this area, because we gotta draw these, mount these, and then start filling in this space so I can start seeing. Maybe I want to come back on this frame and maybe make it bigger or do something. So I don't know. We'll visit that next week. But until then, from Bella and I, peace. And I hope you guys have a good week. See you next Monday.